Virtual Racing School was developed to provide support to the next generation of sim racers. No matter if you're a rookie or veteran or what car or track you'll be racing, our goal is to provide training every step of the way. We found that iRacing can be quite difficult without proper training. There needed to be a way to prepare for on-track racing. With VRS, you can literally learn from the best sim racers in the world, including 4-time NASCAR iRacing World Champion Ray Alfala.
And Ray Alfala is a 4-time champion of the NASCAR Peak Antifreeze iRacing Series.
3-time iRacing Grand Prix World Champion Martin Kroenke.
Martin Kroenke becomes a 3-time world champion.
Rallycross World Champion Mitchell de Jong.
Mitchell de Jong is now champion for the iRacing Rallycross World Championship Series.
And many other top sim racers. Data packs include everything you need to start learning. Our World Championship coaches create the data packs by setting a hot lap or a series of fast laps for you to compare, analyze, and replicate. Data packs also include a tutorial where the coach points out techniques they use to hit the fast lap. This gives you access to the latest driving techniques and setups before you even hit the track. Sign up for a free account and download the VRS telemetry logger. With this application running seamlessly in the background, your laps automatically start syncing to the VRS website. From there, you can analyze and compare 2 laps of your choice, whether it's your data, the coaches, or your teammates. VRS will automatically target improvement opportunities so you can get up to speed even faster. VRS also makes it easy for you to request and schedule one-on-one or group coaching sessions. These sessions can range from 30 to 90 minutes, and you can select the car, track, and setup combination of your choice. Visit virtualracingschool.com today to sign up and get started.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you might be watching from. Thank you so much for joining us here for the premiere of Cross Series League Racing on Apex Racing TV. It's the first round. This is the XSLR GT3 at Road Atlanta, presented by Nexus Fabrication. I am Tyler Newitt. Joining me here in the booth tonight is Avery McDonald. And running the cameras and everything that needs doing behind the scenes is the wonderful Marco Barbanera. We have what is going to be a really fantastic season in store for you here on Apex Racing TV from the folks at Cross Series League Racing. And it's all kicking off with the GT3s at Road Atlanta. So before we get into what the series as a whole will entail, Avery, these cars, this track, they're some of the most popular cars on iRacing. It's one of the most popular tracks on iRacing as well. You see these cars here in the IMSA series, as well as the GT World Challenge America series here in the US. This track's a lot of fun in anything, but particularly something with a little bit of downforce like these GT3 cars. These drivers are going to be having a blast out there today.
Oh, absolutely. Like you just said, iconic track, iconic cars, going to be the possibility for an iconic race. You know, you had the Petit Le Mans here race for IMSA. Just such a popular track, and so far we got 18 GT3 drivers in the field. But what's really cool about this field, Tyler, as you take a look at the timing and scoring, there's a lot of different manufacturers in this race. Not everybody's driving the Merc, or not everybody's driving the BMW. There's so many different manufacturers.
Absolutely. It's a BMW on provisional pole at the moment with Marino Reyes. Just a few drivers left turning laps out on track. We'll get you the full rundown once qualifying is over, but currently Marino Reyes sits at top. But first, let's tell you a little bit about what's going to be coming your way over the next few months from the folks at Cross Series League Racing. It's not just GT3s. This isn't your typical GT3 league. This is going to be something pretty special. We're going to see 4 races in the GT3 cars from these drivers, and then they're going to do something a little different. Avery, they're going to jump in the 410 winged sprint car and do 4 races in that. And then, if that wasn't different enough, they're going to jump in the NASCAR Next Gen Cup Series car and do 4 races in that. And then, just to top it off and make sure we hit every different type of racing car that there is, they're going to jump into the Lucas Oil Off-Road Pro 4 truck and do 4 races in that. So these drivers, you know, maybe they're not the best GT3 drivers in the world. Maybe this isn't really their forte. But over the course of 12 races, they're going to have their chance to shine.
Oh, absolutely. You got 4 completely different types of cars. I'm a huge sprint car fan. I've always been a big sprint car fan, so I'm really looking forward to those. But I'm really looking forward to Road Atlanta tonight with these GT3 cars. I mean, when you take a look at some of the best races I've seen from either in the real life or here on Apex Racing TV, it's Road Atlanta with GT3 cars. It's a pretty awesome combo. I think if you put a poll together, and a lot of people would say this is one of their favorite combos.
Absolutely. And of course, this race tonight is brought to you, presented by Nexus Fabrication. Nexus Fabrication specializes in metal fabrication and manufacturing for commercial, residential, and custom projects, as well as signage, furniture, and metal repair work. Visit them at nexusfab.com. That is NEXUSFAB.com. Well, it's going to be something really exciting tonight. We've got the grid. The drivers are just now lining up behind the pace car. It's going to be a full pace lap here. Lots of time for these drivers to stew on what is about to come. It is Marino Reyes, we mentioned, who grabs the pole position. Trevor Anderson will start in second. Adam Thompson will start in the 3rd place, joined on the 2nd row by Bobby Ross. Robert Schwenkler will start in 5th alongside Tyler Campbell. Aaron Tribble lines up in 7th next to Ashley Molyneux. James Keir lines up in 9th next to James Truitt on the 5th row. Jaden Darling starts in 11th next to Mike Sorum. Robbie Larill, will start in 13th. Kevin Irwin in 14th. Chet Durenek will start 15th next to Scott Benavides. And Tyler Coates and Jimmy Howat will round out our field. So 18 cars. It's not the deepest field we've ever seen at Road Atlanta, but I am certain that is plenty to put on a super exciting show for everybody here today. The grid just waiting now for the pace car to begin rolling. It'll be a 40-minute race. So these drivers have just over half an hour to put these GT3 cars through their paces. They are limited on fuel, but not expecting a pit stop. Are we expecting a pit stop today, Avery? Do you know?
I mean, there's always a chance. I'm not 100% sure on. I'm not a GT3 expert, Tyler, when it comes to be honest, I'm not an expert to any car here on iRacing. I'm just I just like to talk. So we'll have to see. Look at one thing I like about this series so far, Tyler, is a lot of good liveries out here. I mean, really a lot of. It look good. I like it when a car looks good.
Absolutely, and just looking at a 50% fuel limit, these GT3 cars can usually go about an hour on fuel, so they should have to stop in the course of a 40-minute race, but should be a pretty wide open fuel window, so that'll be interesting to keep our eyes on for sure. Lots of Mercedes in the field. That's the highest number of cars for a manufacturer with 5. We've got 4 BMWs, 3 Ferrari, Lamborghini, a couple of Porsches, the new toy for all the iRacing drivers just added in the last build there, and McLaren as well as an Audi. So lots, as you mentioned, lots of diversity in car choice represented on the grid today. Of course, as we mentioned, as this series goes on, you're going to see significantly more diversity in car choice. these drivers are going to have to show a wide range of skill. So, of course, if you're just tuning in, thank you for joining us on Apex Racing TV. This is going to be a series to keep your eye on for sure on the channel, I would imagine.
Oh yeah, this is, I mean, from looking at the lap times, they're super close, but I mean, if you don't like any of these four disciplines of racing, then I mean, iRacing is not for you, because this is every discipline you could pretty much go for. But so we got these GT3 cars to start off a good season. I'm sure I'm definitely excited to tune in. I'll make sure on the races I can't actually be at, I'll watch them later, because this is a pretty good little series. I really like having them here, and I really appreciate all their sponsors for jumping on board, because it's a good, fun little series.
Yep, and we are super glad to have these guys on board here at Apex Racing TV. The pace car rounds turn 10. It'll pull off to the pit lane to the left here, and it'll be Reyes leading them to the green flag in his BMW. He's holding them for now. Now he gets a launch out of the corner. That'll be a good jump. That should clear him of the Porsche of Anderson. And indeed it does. And in fact, Adam Thompson has a great run in his Ferrari. He's looking to the inside of Anderson there into turn 1. Thompson was the season 1 winner of XSLR. Not broadcast here on Apex Racing TV, but this is actually the second season for the league. And Adam Thompson was the inaugural winner. So definitely one to keep your eye on, see if he can maintain his consistency across all of the different disciplines this season. Oh, that's a spin and heavy contact into the wall for Scott Benavides. Just coming down through the S's, looked like the Porsche rode up on the curb. I'm not sure if he had help. We'll see if we get a replay of that later. This is the battle for 5th. Tyler Campbell in front there. Here is a replay of what happened to Scott Benavides. To be that's tough for Scott. It was the 2 cars in front of him checked up into the S's, I think just trying to keep their cold tires under him. Scott, I think, didn't anticipate them checking up as much as they did, and got himself onto the grass trying to avoid them. That's a shame for Scott, but he's not going to finish particularly well in this one.
Yeah, probably not a good start for him, but a good start for Reyes in the 86 car. That's out in front, and Trevor Anderson, Adam Thompson, that season 1 champion, that top 3, and pretty good battles all the way around. This is the battle for 9th, and you got James up in the number 5 car in front of him going through. Let's just say this: it goes really wide in turn 1, and it gets really tight. So it's a real fun track here. All we got around goes Kevin Irwin into the wall.
The lone McLaren in the field, and I wonder if he had contact with the Lamborghini of Loril. Both of those two off track at the first sector. There's a bit of space in between them. It might have just been individual incidents. Indeed, Loril just lost it in turn 1. The McLaren was looking for a way around one of the BMWs in turn 3, and really got out of shape there. That's a tough break for Irwin. Thank you to everybody in the chat. We've got some Truett fans. We've got some Thompson fans. So far 3rd and 8th for Thompson and Truett respectively. So they've got some fans rooting them on at home tonight. Ooh, that's Tribble going wide. And that'll give the spot he just took from Truett right back to him. Promoting Truett to 8th place in his Audi. Looking from the back of Marino Reyes, your race leader on Anderson there, as they head up to turn 3 once again.
Yeah, a couple cars going off track. This is a tough track, but this battle for the 7th position, you got 4 or 5 cars in this battle, and you'll see that 60 car of Aaron Tribble try to get around Truett, but a couple opportunities going on board here with Ashley there sitting in 9th, and just in a really good spot for a good pass, but really making good pace in that Mercedes.
Absolutely. We've seen some really good battles so far early on in this race. Clearly some pretty competent GT3 drivers in the field. This battle right here is from 7th on back. That's Truett, in fact, and Tribble ahead of Molyneux now.
back to this battle for the lead, and it's the BMW, the Porsche they got a 2-second gap over the Ferrari, and I tell you what, Tyler, this is a real talented group because racing so close, and we're only on lap number 4, and there's 30 lap race, so with the 50% fuel, I'm kind of curious to see what the strategy is. The pit, do you run it all the way out, or maybe short pit a little bit? So we'll have to wait and see what these drivers are going to do. This is that battle for 7th, and it's a pretty good battle there, Tyler.
Yeah, and of course remains to be seen if they do need to pit. That's going to be pretty borderline on the fuel limit with these GT3 cars as to whether or not they do actually have to pit in this race. So we'll see what happens there. But yes, Tribble all over the back of Truett in that Mercedes. Good run out of turn 5 from Tribble. He's going to line up Truett around the outside. That's a tough pass to make work, and sensibly backs out of it. Tries the crossover, but good protective line there from Truett to hang on to 7th. But runs wide, heading on to the back straight, and that's going to cost at least a couple of positions for Truett. Kieran, the Ferrari, not terribly far behind either, though the toe should help Truett recover here.
Yeah, it's the one thing, like you just said, the toe. Going down this long straightaway into a really hard braking turn, you're going to be able to use that toe to make a pass. And nice little move there by, looks like that's that number 5 of James Truett. Made a good move, but wasn't able to make it stick. But that's, if you want to make a pass, Tyler, that's a really good spot to make a pass. Yeah,
you get such a big toe down the backstretch here into 10A that it's really probably the best passing opportunity on the track. You'll see a lot of people try something up into turn 3 here where these drivers are headed now, but much tighter at the apex here. You can't really go too wide, so if you want to have a pass done here, you have to do it before the apex of turn 3, and then you're basically single file down through the S's. It's one line. So yeah, really that turn 10A, 10B chicane, that's the place to make a move happen if you can. You'll want to set somebody up here through turn 6 and 7 onto the back straight.
Absolutely. Now you take a look, man, side-by-side action a little bit there. And the battle for 7th is starting to become a 2-car battle, but if these drivers behind them can kind of work together, not try to pass each other, they can catch up and try to get back to 7th. So Truett and Tribble are making good pace as they're starting to pull away from 9th and 10th.
Yeah, definitely. Starting to see the field kind of form into these battle groups that you get a lot of the time with GT3 racing. You've got the 2 leaders out front, and then Thompson, Ross, Campbell are all on the same piece of tarmac. And then you have that battle that we were just watching. So lots of groups of cars together. We've got a pit caller, so maybe this is an indication that these drivers are going to need to pit, and James Keir getting in right on the early edge of that pit window. As you see, Marino Reyes taking all of the track there at the exit of turn 5. You're allowed to do that, but you don't want to make a habit of it, because if you go too wide, that's a recipe for finding yourself in the tire barrier.
Yeah, and the tire barrier is somewhere I end up quite a bit, so you don't want to do that. But this is the battle for the lead it's heating up. I mean, Anderson really wants to take over the lead, able to get around Reyes in that long straightaway, and this is where you can make that pass. And still early. Here comes a big send. We'll see if he's able to. Oh, nice little fakey. Sometimes that's what you got to do to throw the driver off, but Anderson seemed unfazed, but he's going to lead lap number 6, and with a 30 lap race, you don't really want to show all your moves yet.
Well, yeah, but it certainly seems to me as if Trevor Anderson has the pace to lead this race comfortably. He has been hounding Marino Reyes for a while now, and that pass seemed a little bit like it was a long time coming. Although saying that, Marino is right back on the rear bumper of that Porsche as Trevor Anderson heads back down through the S's here. This is not over by any stretch of the imagination, but it certainly seems as if Trevor Anderson had race-winning pace here today. If you're wanting to know who to thank for bringing this broadcast to you fine folks at home, all of the sponsors for the series are circling at the top right of your screen as Reyes makes a move to the inside onto the backstretch. Take a pause on thanking our sponsors here as Reyes was looking for the race lead. We'll see if he has a lunge back into 10A, but for the moment, doesn't seem to have the straight line speed that Anderson has in that Porsche.
Yeah, and Anderson's got the fastest time of the two overall by about a 1/10.5. So it's a little bit quicker, but I mean, when you're in someone's toe, it doesn't give you a good accurate time, but you know, they're very similar on lap time. So we'll see if Anderson's going to be able to pull away. Oh, the round goes to 37. That's Jimmy from the Jim Pair
Jimmy
Racing.
Hoat, in the Ferrari just looked like he lost it on his own there. It was tough. I didn't see anybody around him, so I figured. Yep, just a little spin in turn 5. Seemed like maybe he had the bias just a little too far back. Tough to really figure out otherwise what that might have been. But as I was saying before, you can see the sponsors for the series circulating in the upper right-hand part of your screen, including Dangerous. Dangerous is a top 3D visualization firm specializing in high-quality 3D product, CAD, package rendering services, and photorealistic product visuals. They specialize in automotive subjects, as Tribble has found the wall. Tribble, who is fighting inside the top 10, what's happened to him? Same story, second verse, perhaps down through the S's. Indeed it is. So trouble for a couple of drivers, just losing the rear end in the S's, but he finds his way just up against the tire barrier. But as I was saying about Dangerous, they specialize in automotive subjects and have extensive industrial and consumer product design experience. Let them help you visualize, promote, and communicate your design. Visit them at dangerous.net. That's dangeruss.net. Meanwhile, sorry, Avery. Meanwhile, this is the battle for third, led by defending series champion Adam Thompson, but he has Ross and Campbell right up in behind his Ferrari, and they are looking hungry for a couple more positions, and really not all that far off the leaders either.
Oh no, they're not too far off the leaders. Yeah, it's maybe about 3 seconds, but if those leaders start to make a couple mistakes, that's gonna allow Thompson, Ross, and Campbell to move up closer to a battle for the lead. So, you know, when you're sitting in that third place spot, when you're not even a third of the race through, you just try to, you know, click off some good laps and try to run those leaders down.
Absolutely, and it does seem like pit strategy is going to come into play as well. So you start to think about, you know, when's the best time to take that pit stop? Do you go for the undercut? As we see, that is Campbell making the move on Ross in the background, not able to get quite deep enough on the brakes to make something happen that time, but he settles in right on the rear bumper of that Mercedes, and maybe at this point just trying to get Ross to lose the toe of Thompson just a little bit here, as that'll help the Porsche of Campbell get through on Ross. Another pass back for the lead. That's Marino Reyes back through on Trevor Anderson. I got confused for a minute because the Porsches of Anderson and Campbell look quite similar. I think they might be teammates, but that is Anderson who is racing Marino Reyes for the lead. And here's the replay of where he made it happen. So I was saying you have to be clear by the apex of turn 3 to make this pass work, and I think that's what you're about to see. Not a great run through turn 1 for Trevor Anderson. And indeed, Marino Reyes just slips through at the apex of turn 3. That's a great pass here at Road Atlanta.
Yeah, Marino coming off the quickest lap of the race so far. Was that last lap? So a little bit quicker, but he's got a hard charge, and Trevor Anderson going to try to make the overtake.
Yeah, it definitely seemed like that Porsche has the straight line advantage. Not sure if that's down to setup or BOP or both, but certainly it seems the Porsche has the upper hand on the straightaway, which is going to make Marino Reyes' life difficult, especially if he can't lose that toe at some point in this race.
Yeah, the battle for third is just Thompson's pulled away. As you see, there's the gap with Campbell and Ross. So maybe Thompson could start putting down some good laps. He's a little bit off the pace, just a little bit from Anderson and Marino, but anything can happen here. We're only lap 11 of 30.
Oh, that was a sketchy rejoin there from Benavides. Fortunate for those two drivers not to get collected in it. I think Scott might have not really been in control of that car at that point, because he came on at a very awkward angle and had to pitch it to the left to stay out of the way of those two lead lap cars who were oncoming. But fortunate break there for Campbell and Ross as we see the battle for the lead once again. And you see Anderson trying to break that toe as they work their way around the McLaren of Irwin, who is a lap down. But clearly straight line speed not a concern right now for Anderson. He's going to be comfortable in that Porsche. Obviously Marino Reyes is rapid, we've seen that for sure, but as it stands right now, Anderson certainly seems to be quick where it counts in that Porsche.
Anderson seems to pull away a little bit, but Marino, I tell you, he's able to get through. He gets through turn one very well. As you see, he gets kind of closes the gap on Anderson, and just gets through one and can able to hit that apex and really catch up to him here. So yeah, the straight line speed, yeah, Trevor Anderson, which is very important here at Road Atlanta, but Marino able to close the gap and get into the toe. So you see the two different cars have a different driving style, and that's what's great about GT3 racing.
Well, and that's something we definitely talked about. Really, the only passing zone. Ooh, as Ashley Molyneux is off at turn one. That's an easy mistake to make. Carry a little too much speed, and as soon as you dip a wheel off, that car gets away from you. But, you know, we're talking about how really 10A is by far the best passing zone on this track. So you figure, you know, where do you want to be good? Well, you want to be good in the run up to 10A, and that's where Anderson really shines right now. Obviously, we saw Reyes make the move after an Anderson mistake in turn one, but that's really depending on the mistake from the driver in front of you, which is not something you really want to be doing.
Yeah, you're right, Tyler. Just something you don't really want to be doing. But I tell you, Bobby Ross, after having a couple slow laps, was able to regroup and has a good opportunity to get around Tyler Campbell in that number 3 Porsche. So Bobby Ross, like I just said, able to regroup a little bit, and they're gonna try. Oh, and off goes.
I think that was
a lap car
in the McLaren, yeah, who'd already had some trouble in this race so far. And to be fair, Avery, this is something we expect to see. Not everybody in this series is going to be particularly good at any given one of these disciplines, and it's not surprising to see some of these drivers a fair bit off the pace. And making some mistakes, because some of them maybe they haven't even driven a GT3 car before, or if they have, it's only in this league, and once this league is done and moved on to the other cars that have no touching them. So definitely not a surprise to see some drivers struggling, but similarly not a surprise to see some drivers here, Anderson and Reyes, putting on a heck of a show, as Reyes, was able to get back through with the help of some lap traffic, but surrenders the lead once again to Anderson down the back straight.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, if I was to do this series, yeah, there are definitely some cars I would struggle with for sure, but I tell you who's running real well, that's his lead pack of Anderson and Reyes, and they haven't been within, I think the biggest the gap's been is like 0.8 of a second or so. So I mean, they're really close to each other. But the thing to look out for though, Tyler, is they're starting to catch up to lap traffic. And if you can catch them at the right time, it's not going to hold you up. But if you get them at the wrong time, sometimes just letting off the gas to able to get around them nice and clean is the way to go. So lap traffic gets out of the way. So
exactly, and that's how we saw Marino Reyes get by Anderson on the previous lap. He caught the lap traffic at just the right time and snuck through. But Anderson, as we saw, able to get it back on the backstretch. I think the key here for Reyes is going to be all about that the timing of that pit stop, if indeed they do need to make it, and just getting the gap between the two of them, just putting in a really solid in lap and out lap, and trying to get that gap outside of the tow range of these cars. Because to me, I think it's clear that Reyes is quick enough in the twisty sections to stick with Anderson, as it's trouble for Truett. That's in 10B, I believe. So maybe some trouble in 10A that led to that. A little bump and run there. That is Coates on Kier. That is 4 position, though these drivers are a lap down right now. So not sure exactly what happened to Truett, but he's taken that car to the pits. Here's a replay. Looks to be all on his own. And just the rear stepping out on it. Seems a few drivers are having issues with the rear of their GT3 cars today, and it doesn't seem to be limited to any particular manufacturer. We've got, ooh, that was an awkward, awkward confrontation there. It looked like Kier got broke on the grass. Oh, this is the replay that of what we had seen there. So Kier broke on the grass, and that pitched him into the Mercedes of Coates. So an awkward moment there, and both drivers likely have some damage. We've got a few more people on the chat. Thanks so much for joining us. Another Truett fan and a Tribble fan. So thank you everybody for talking to us on the Apex Racing TV YouTube channel. You can also talk to us on Twitch or any of the other services you're watching this stream on. And thanks so much for tuning in to this first ever on Apex Racing TV Cross Series League Racing race here at Road Atlanta. And time now to give a shout out to another one of the series sponsors, that being Acer Engines. Sorry, just pausing to see if Reyes makes a move here into turn 3. Doesn't look like he's going to. So Acer Engines, for over 30 years, Acer Engine Supply has been rebuilding and restoring engines of all shapes and sizes in the Colorado Springs area. Today, their attention to detail and commitment to customers remains unchanged. From restoring an old classic to getting your daily driver running again, Acer Engine Supply will get you back on the road. Visit them at acerengines.com. Anderson holding on
Reyes,
to,
look at that. Woo.
Yeah, he is pushing for sure. Reyes not letting him have a breath, it seems. But they have stretched that gap back to Thompson, now out over 5 seconds. Thompson, with the battle between Campbell and Ross, finds himself somewhat in his own little world there in third. He's got a little over a second back to Campbell, so he'll be hopefully outside of towing range, hopefully for Thompson there. Obviously, Campbell will be hoping that he can use that dirty air to suck up onto the back of Thompson, but at the moment, not able to close that gap down any.
Yeah, Thompson has pulled away, or not pulled away, has maintained that gap from a couple laps ago, but we're just past the halfway point, Tyler. So this is when you kind of start to really push it. You know what your car can and can't do. So you might see some really quick lap times in. Trevor Anderson ran almost just a skosh slower than his fastest lap time that last time around. And if you're not sure what a skosh is as a measurement, it's not a lot.
Absolutely, and it's going to be very interesting to see, because whether this race is 30 laps or 40 minutes is going to be right around the same point, but that might be the difference between some of these drivers being able to go to the finish on fuel and not. So will definitely be interesting to keep an eye on that. So far, only 2 drivers have been in the pits not for repairs, that being James Kier and James Truett. Both have been in the pits. Truett on lap 9, Kier on lap 5. They currently run in 11th and 12th, so a couple drivers to keep your eye on to see how that shakes out. If we do indeed see the field start to filter their way down pit lane. Just heard a call from Mike Sorum that he's headed to the pits this time, so does seem like drivers are going to need to make that pit stop. Sorum running in 7th, no reason he'd be pulling off other than to make a necessary pit stop. Whoa! Big braking moment there from Tribble. It looked like Molyneux was checking up to make sure Sorum had room to get into the pits, or a gap at least going into 10A, and Tribble was not expecting it. Good job by Tribble to keep that out of the Mercedes in front of them. That was some pretty well done handling of that car. Anderson stretching that gap out a little out front. I think a half second, 6/10 is about the biggest we've seen so far today, Avery.
Yeah, the one thing I'm curious about, Tyler, is you're not going to come and take tires for a pit stop like this. You shouldn't take full fuel, or the full 50% fuel. So are some drivers going to make that mistake? Because I know I've made that mistake more times than not, because it takes forever to take tires in these cars, because you can't do fuel and tires at the same time.
Especially if people are unfamiliar with these cars too, it makes it much easier to just forget about the fact that tires are checked and they don't happen at the same time. You know, if some of these people are used to more of the NASCAR stuff, they might be expecting that they just do tires and fuel at the same time, but that's not the case with these GT3 cars. So far, everyone who's made their stops has done so right about the same time window. 19 seconds for Sorum, the most recent in pit lane, 18.8 for Kier, and 21.1 for Truett. There you see the times stopped in the box on your timing tower. So 10th, 11th, and 12th, those are the three drivers who have made their pit stop. Will be interesting knowing that Sorum was 7th before the stops to see where everybody cycles out once they've made their pit stop. Obviously, Benavides and Coat have been in the pits as well, but not for scheduled service.
Yep, there were a couple drivers who had the unscheduled pit stop, but lap 19 of 30. I mean, I don't know when the right time to come in and pit, Tyler. I think if I'm setting up in front, running a good pace, I run it all the way out. But if I feel like, you know, I need a little change of pace, I come in and take a pit stop. So we'll just have to see what these drivers are going to do. And there goes Marino is going to surrender second place and come down and hopefully for him just fill it up with fuel.
Yeah, the first of our front runners to pit, and meanwhile Campbell has really reeled in Thompson. Suddenly he's left Ross in the dust as he has closed the gap to Adam Thompson quite rapidly, and those two are battling into 10A. I thought Campbell might come out ahead, but sits in behind Thompson at the moment, now in second and third. Obviously, once the pit stops cycle through, they'll likely be back to third and fourth, but really close battle that seemingly came out of nowhere. As Reyes is out of the pits, he was stopped in the box for 12.0 seconds, so a much shorter stop for Reyes than some of the other drivers we've seen so far.
Yep, taking just enough fuel to make it through. The nice thing with a race when it's gone by laps and not by time is you know how many laps that you're exactly going to do. On timed races, you're not 100% sure, so it's a little easier to fuel calculate for a lapped race. So,
and that, as we see Campbell looking to the inside, he's going to get this done unless he overcooks it in here. Not quite able to keep it on the track. Thompson had a look back, but that's not going to happen. And Campbell continues in second place. And Thompson heads for the pits, but there's a slow Lamborghini. That's going to cost him time on pit entry. Oh, that's tough. That's a tough break for Adam Thompson. With the Lamborghini getting into the wall on pit entry, he had to check up. And there's time to be found in pit entry for sure. I think that's going to come back to potentially bite Adam Thompson. Now, that was nearly coming together of Molyneux and Tribble. The reverse of what we had seen before, but they kept it on the road. Now, what I was going to say, Avery, is another factor where not being as familiar with these GT3 cars compared to some of the other cars that we will see in this series could come down to how do you do that pit stop? You know, how much fuel do you take? How much margin do you give yourself? Are you that confident in your calculations? If you're, you know, a Pro 4 truck expert, you're not making pit stops in those. You don't know how much margin to put on the fuel. Maybe you're just doing the quick mental math in your head. Maybe you're just filling it all the way to the top. But it could definitely be something that some of these drivers struggle with here.
yeah, absolutely. I'd take a look at who's pitted: Marino, Adam Thompson, and then Robert and Ashley, all around that 13-second pit stop. So that's probably what we're going to see. Trevor Anderson working his way down pit road. Needs to get a good pit stop.
Yeah, both of those Porsches from the same team. That's Anderson and Campbell into the pits. Ross and the Mercedes in as well. So where do they come out relative to Marino Reyes? Reyes down through the final corner now. Not yet rolling is Anderson, but he's got some time as Reyes just now heading onto the front stretch. It's a short pit exit here, so Anderson should be all right. Let's see, here comes Reyes. It looks like Anderson is at least going to lead into turn 3. Obviously, he has to get that car up to speed, but coming out in front of Reyes is big.
Oh, he came out very, very big. I think what helped him out is able to get some clean laps and not worrying about a driver being right on your tail. But the gap is 0.4 of a second, and that is enough for Marino to hang on to the toe and to give us the battle we're looking for the top spot on the podium.
Ooh, that's a BMW through the grass at 10A, overcooking it. That is Jaden Darling, currently sitting in 9th place, but yet to make his pit stop, so that will likely drop him back through the order, and indeed now he pulls into pit lane. So we're talking about Adam Thompson getting held up on pit entry by that Lamborghini. Look at where he sits right now, 5th place behind Campbell and Roth, and some 2 seconds behind them almost. So really costly on that pit entrance for Adam Thompson as James Keir goes for a trip through the grass. And looking at the pit times, I mean, Thompson was stopped in his box a little longer than the other 2 in front of him, but certainly that hold up on pit entry did not help at all.
But yeah, that overall pit entry time, hold him up, was about that 2 seconds, which created that gap for him. But still an opportunity to make up some ground and try to get up to that 4th position. We're looking at Aaron Tribble here sitting in 8th and really putting on a good effort sitting in that 8th position. Only down 1 spot, but still a really good run for Aaron.
Battle with Milano is picked right back up after the pit sequence, so nothing in it between these 2 Mercedes in the battle for 7th. Schwenkler just quite a bit up the road in his BMW as the Irwin in the McLaren goes wide in turn 1. Not the first driver ever to do that, and certainly won't be the last.
No, 23 on lap 23, Tyler. So this race starting to come down to the end, and this is when you need to start pushing it to the limits to try to get as much spots as you can. Remember, this is a 4-car series. Oh, Ashley Milano gonna try to make the pass, or try to hold off the pass from. There we go. Whoa, nice move there by Aaron Tribble, but Ashley's still gonna have that toe. And I don't know about you, Tyler, but I like to be in that spot where you're the driver behind him going down this straightaway. Might not be able to get the toe she needs to make the move on this time around, but still in a good spot for maybe the next lap.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's kind of 2 lines of thinking here, and neither one really matters because they both involve finishing as high up as you can. But if you're a driver, you know, who's, let's say, looking forward to the NASCAR stuff, and you're having a good run here today, then you got to be thinking, I got to make up as many positions as I can to capitalize on what I know is going to be my bad round, so that when we go to the stuff I'm good at, I can, you know, stretch a points lead. Ooh, as the leaders working their way through lap traffic here, I think that's true in the Audi. And then conversely, if this is your forte and you're a little wary of looking ahead on the schedule, you're also thinking, I need to be making up as many places as I can and picking up the points because it's going to come back to everybody else later on. So either way, if you're in a position to be looking for points here, you're going to want to be doing that and setting yourself up for the rest of this calendar, which is for sure going to throw some challenges at these drivers.
Oh yeah, it's so cool that they're having 4 different types of cars in one series, all for points, and that's just. Whoa, Trevor Anderson almost goes wide, and that was almost into the wall. But yeah, really cool to have the opportunity to showcase your talents at 4 different cars. And speaking of showcasing talents, Marino Reyes and Trevor Anderson are showcasing the top 2 spots. They have a big gap between this battle for 1st and the battle for 3rd. So
they got nothing to worry about. He's really dropped off the back of that Ross Campbell battle that we see on our screen. He's some 6 seconds back, so not sure what happened to Adam, but looks like he is out of contention. Yeah, slow lap there, dropped some 4 seconds, so that'll be pretty costly for him. But this is not over at all for the final podium place between Campbell and Ross. Does seem again like the Porsche is the car to beat in a straight line, but that Mercedes can definitely stick with it through the rest of the track.
Yep, and Tyler Campbell up in that 3rd spot. Put on a really good run. Had a couple oops moments earlier, but I tell you, who's really put on a good run, that Bobby Ross car, able to close the gap a little bit. The last time around, Bobby was just about a half second quicker, so able to get into the toe as the laps are starting to wind down to the end of this race. So we got a great battle for 1st, we got a great battle for 3rd.
Yeah, and battles throughout the field, really. I mean, Tribble and Molyneux has spread out a bit, but that's not over for sure. And several other drivers in close quarters around the racetrack. So lots of good racing from this field. I expect we're going to see 12 weeks of that, to be quite honest. Really looking forward to this season. Avery and myself are not covering all of the races. You'll get a healthy mix, healthy balance between us. Josh is going to be chipping in, as that is Tribble going through the grass. He collects it, I think, without getting into too much trouble. Let's see, did he just carry it too much speed into turn 1? Oh, no. Yeah. That is bizarre. I have not seen something like that before. Completely lost the back end, like, immediately on turn into turn 1. So that was quite costly, except he's right back on... Oh, no, sorry, that was Tribble. Sorry, I was looking at Ross there, who is right back on the back of Tyler Campbell. Anyway, as I was saying, you're going to get your healthy balance of Josh Lee, Austin Knight, and myself and Avery throughout the season, with Marco supporting all of us all the time, as always. But should be great. And as you said, Avery, I'll definitely be tuning in for the rounds that I'm not going to be able to be here for.
Oh yeah, definitely got a good group here at Apex. But I tell you, this group I'm gonna say it wrong, the old XSLR, I tell you what, they are a fantastic group of drivers, Tyler. And, you know, this is only 27 to 30 laps, but I mean, this is a great group of drivers. They're, you know, racing each other clean, putting on a good battle, and make sure you hit that subscribe button with the notification bell on here on our YouTube channel for sure. Or if you're on Twitch, make sure you follow us there. But this is a series you're going to want to watch every Sunday night here in the U.S. time zone, and then at the 2 o'clock in the morning time zone for our friends in Europe, like Marco.
You're absolutely right, Avery, and it's a good point how clean this racing has been. I mean, it's a lot of the times you get guys who are new to these cars and mix them with guys who are veterans in these cars, and you get some unfortunate incidents. But we've really had some fantastic clean racing here today. Obviously, there have been some scuffles, but that's the nature of racing, and these guys have put on a show while keeping it incredibly clean, which is mighty impressive. Anderson has stretched that gap out to a little over a second on Reyes. Doesn't quite seem like the BMW has anything for him in these closing stages, but the battle for third definitely far from over, as Ross is seemingly keeping tabs on Campbell. Molyneux goes for a trip through the gravel, and that's given Tribble 7th place. So tough break there for Molyneux.
Oh yeah, you hate to see it.
That almost looked like it was a little tough to see from on board with Tribble, but that looked like could very well have been a hardware issue of some sort. I mean, the way that car wiggled in turn 1, maybe the back just stepped out and sorry, Molyneux was saving it, but from that angle it certainly looked a little odd.
Yeah, lap 29 of 30, so the time is really crunching down to the end, and if Marino wants to have a chance to take home round number 1 win here at Road Atlanta, it's time to get moving.
Yeah, he closed the gap back down just a little bit. It's under a second now, but as we've seen before, the Porsche stretches its legs on the straightaway, and I don't know that Reyes is going to be close enough without a mistake. This battle, though, keeps getting closer and closer. Ross right on the back of Campbell here. as they head down the back straight behind the 2 leaders. The sun getting quite low on the horizon. The headlights really making a difference now at this point in the race. Beautiful time of day for this event. No advantage on the brakes there for Ross, so it's going to have to happen next time around. Anderson's got the gap back out over a second as they head over the first turn. It looks like the battle is going to be for third. What can Ross do here in the Mercedes to overcome Tyler Campbell in the Porsche? Up through turn 2 into turn 3. Looks like Campbell is clear enough of Ross. Did see some cars up ahead. That'll be lap traffic. Hopefully they're aware of what's going on and stay out of the way. But you never know. Lap traffic can be unpredictable. Campbell will just be hoping for safe passage here.
Yeah, that white flag lap, and Trevor Anderson's put on a real gap, but the gap for Campbell and Ross is super tight coming up to lap traffic. That's the 82. Scott
That's just a tough place to catch Benavides. Yeah. Fortunately for Campbell, he timed it well and got a good run onto the straight, but that could have been really disastrous for him. But around the final corner and across the line is Trevor Anderson to win race number 1 of season 2 of XSLR. This is going to be a great season as Campbell round the final corner and will take the final podium spot. So teammates first and third in their Porsches. Trevor and Tyler, well done to them. Ross comes home in 4th. There is Marino Reyes stopped at the top of the track. Could only manage 2nd place, but you get the feeling with that sort of pace, he'll be a factor in the rest of these GT3 races, if not more of this season.
Yeah, what a great start for Reyes, and a great start for obviously Trevor Anderson, but Tyler Campbell and Bobby Ross put on a really good show. A lot of other drivers put on a good show, but I tell you what, Tyler, they're going to a little bit different track next week at Circuit of the Americas.
Indeed they are. Circuit of the Americas, a demanding course as the last few drivers, cross the line. There's Tribble, Molyneux working their way down the hill, and across the line that should be everybody. But yeah, Circuit of the Americas is going to be a real challenge for these drivers, as we will get the results up for you in just a moment. Definitely going to be a really exciting race next time out. Just now waiting on the official results to come through. And there they are. Trevor Anderson is your race winner ahead of Marino Reyes. Tyler Campbell rounds out the podium. Bobby Ross comes home 4th, and defending champion Adam Thompson rounds out the top 5. Robert Schwenkler comes home in 6th, Aaron Tribble in 7th. Ashley Molyneux comes home in 8th, Mike Sorum in 9th. James Truitt rounds out your top 10. Jaden Darling comes home in 11th ahead of James Keir and Chet Duranic. Tyler Coates comes home 14th, and Kevin Irwin in 15th. Scott Benavides, Robbie Larill, and Jimmy Howitt round out your field. So, just waiting for some drivers to filter in, and we've got the first driver who wants to talk to us, and it is the final man on our podium today, Tyler Campbell. How are you?
I'm doing well, thanks. How are you?
We're doing great. We got to watch a great race here. Really fantastic battle between yourself and Ross in the closing stages, and Adam Thompson at points as well. Going off of the paint schemes, though, it seems like you were playing a little bit second fiddle to your teammate today.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Trevor has always been insanely fast, so I'm always kind of hanging on to his coattails, as it were. But yeah, the battle that I had today with Bobby and with Adam definitely has me sweating bullets. I was managing a vapors in the tank there at the end, and so I had to try to like strategically give up time to Bobby, so that way I could make it to the end. Ended up crossing the line with only like 0.8 of a liter of fuel. So it was definitely cutting it close.
Certainly, and we had no idea. I mean, we could see both yours and Bobby's pit stop times were pretty quick relative to everybody else, but Tough to know what all is going on in your head in the race, but really a stellar performance. You got Adam right before the pit stops, which seemed like a key move there to give yourself some track position and set yourself up well for the closing stages. Was that the toughest pass you made today, or was Bobby a little more difficult?
Adam was a little tough because with him, I was kind of playing mind games a little bit, knowing that the Ferrari was more efficient on fuel, and that he generally has pace when he can be out on his own. Even though he called out that he was, running into the pits, it was important to me to like hamper him just a little bit, so that way he wasn't necessarily, thinking about his entrance or his exit. And inevitably, it did give me about 2.5 seconds on him. So definitely a worthwhile pass. I would definitely say that was like the most strategic move that landed me third place, because after that it was just track position and holding on for dear life.
Very good. Well, Tyler, clearly you've got some pace in the GT3s, but that's not all we're going to be racing in XSLR this season. How do you figure you're going to fare through the entirety of the schedule?
Honestly, it's hard to say. I don't have a whole lot of experience racing in the other disciplines. Road racing is definitely my home. But I look forward to the challenge, and there's lots of practice sessions that these guys put on, so it's a great opportunity to learn from your peers.
Fantastic. Well, congratulations once again on your podium, and thanks so much for joining us in the booth, Tyler Campbell.
Thank you.
And Avery, I'm going to grab Trevor Anderson here for you, our race winner.
Hey, Trevor, congrats on a really good run here. I mean, Tyler and I were talking before the broadcast. GT3 cars, Road Atlanta has some great opportunity for some really good racing. You and Marino put on a great show. How were you able to pull away from him and kind of grab that win?
Oh man, I mean, yeah, it was a great race with Marino. I think I knew pretty much like from the first couple laps that I had a little more speed on the straights than him. So once I got close enough on the backstretch, it was I could just blow right past him. And then after that, it was just about him. I mean, he was so much quicker through the corners. So anytime he could pressure me, he did. And he made it really, really, really stressful the whole time, especially with some of the traffic we ran into. So yeah, I mean, I just held on to it. It was a nail biter.
Yeah, it's definitely, we noticed it too, how you had that straight line speed and he had the speed in the corners. And, one thing that, I noticed for sure is, when he kind of gave you a little pressure, that didn't phase you. And I think that's a big factor of not only finishing on the podium in any series, but definitely for this group is to getting that good finish to be unfazed. But, we asked Tyler Campbell this in the interview before. This series isn't just GT3 cars. You got sprint cars, a new NASCAR, and then you got the Lucas Oil cars. What do you think of the other disciplines?
I'm not quite as excited for those as I am for this. I mean, I'm definitely I love racing all those other types of disciplines. I like dirt oval, dirt road, paved oval, but I am definitely a far and away better at this. So, I mean, I was talking to Marino. It's kind of the same thing. You might see me and him fighting like that in these other series, but definitely not at the front, maybe at the back.
Well, as long as you're fighting with somebody for a position on any track, that's a good thing. But Trevor, congrats on a great win in the first round here, and we'll see you next week at COTA.
Great, man. Thanks so much. Thanks for having me.
And last up among our interviews is the runner-up in the BMW, Marino Reyes. How you doing?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing pretty well. We got to watch a really entertaining battle between yourself and Trevor, in addition to several other great battles throughout the field. As Trevor mentioned, and we noted in the broadcast, seemed like the straight line speed of that Porsche was just a little too much for you to overcome. We saw you able to make passes when you made mistakes, but it seemed like you just weren't able to have it where it counted in the straight line.
Yeah, I had a small technical issue where my setup wasn't necessarily adjusted from the last iRacing update. So that technical issue it had to do with I quickly chose another set with the higher wing angle just to go ahead and get something stable, then had to click around a bunch just to be able to make the grid. But But it was still a lot of fun. I mean, Tyler did a great job. He drove the wheels off that car, and I just couldn't keep up, So, and I just wanted to take a second and thank our sponsors, Alpine Stars, GoPro, GSI Gomez, Sim Industries, Wave Italy, Legato Watches. So, great sponsors of ours. And yeah, other than that, it was a fantastic race.
Yeah, fantastic. And obviously we're glad to have you in the series. And as we asked both of the other drivers, as I'm sure you're aware of, it's not just GT3s from here on out, though you do get a few more weeks to show what you can do in these cars. What's your feelings moving forward with some of the other disciplines we're going to see you in throughout this season?
I mean, it's going to be a lot of fun. These guys really do a great job with this league. But at the same time, I better get as many points as I can in the road, because I think I'm going to suffer a bit with the other disciplines.
We were saying as much during the broadcast, and great to hear it corroborated with the drivers. But Marino, congratulations on your second place. Really a solid effort, especially if you were fiddling with the setup right to the end. And anyone else you'd like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Well, basically just my team, the Alpine Stars Geodesic Racing, and basically the league, XSLR Cross League Racing, and they do a good job. And thanks to everybody. It was a fun race.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us, Marino. Congrats once again on your second place finish, and we will see you next time out.
Thanks, bud. Take care.
Well, that does it for our driver interviews, and that'll do it for us here with XSLR at Road Atlanta. Really a lot of fun watching the race today, and we've got some other really fantastic racing coming up for you on Apex Racing TV. Next up tomorrow night, if you are in the European time zones, and obviously earlier in the afternoon if you're over here, is the Apex Racing League Mazda Cup. I had the chance to fill in for that league. Those guys put on a heck of a show, and they're going to Bathurst, which, as I've said many a times, I've never seen a bad race around Bathurst. So definitely one you're going to want to tune into tomorrow. In addition, on Tuesday, we've got the Rikmatech Sports Car Series, round 1 at Imola. Also Tuesday is the Apex Racing League GT Trophy. So if you enjoyed the GT3 cars you got to see today, that's what you're getting in the GT Trophy as well, one of our leagues. So go ahead and tune in. That is also looking at the evening of Tuesday European times. Later on in the week, on Friday, we've got the Radical Racing Challenge round 5 at Hockenheim. Also got to sub in for a Radical race, and they put on a heck of a show at Bathurst, so that'll be another one for you guys to have on your list to tune into. And wrapping up the weekend for us is going to be the Formula 3.5 Championship round 5 at Monza on Saturday. On Sunday is the Wave Italy Apex Racing League GT Championship round 5 at Silverstone. Also on Sunday, the SRF Weekend Warriors round 5 at Zandvoort. The IGP Fun F3 VRS series will also be in action next Sunday at Bolton Park. And you might be asking yourself, where can I watch all this? Well, obviously, if you're watching us on YouTube, you can catch it here again on YouTube Apex Racing TV, or you can jump on over to our Twitch channel, which is also Apex Racing TV. Please also go ahead and like us on any of your favorite social medias. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter, we're on Instagram. It's all going to be under that same Apex Racing TV banner. So go ahead and check us out on the social medias that you prefer. From all of us here at Apex Racing TV, thank you so much for joining us for XSLR tonight. I'm really looking forward to calling this series. I think it's going to be a blast. So for myself, for Avery, and for Marco, thanks so much, and we'll see you next time.